And we are live for episode 33 of Inside the IFL. And as always, I'm with Mr. Ed Ritter.
Well, it is.
It's what it is, what it do. uh, we are live now, mighty. Not sure there's going to be a little bit of a delay between live and what's on the air, I believe. So, nonetheless, it's the final week, if you can believe that. This Saturday will be the Victory Bowl.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it was like the post I put on Slack not too long ago. Went through all the process of even building this league, getting it together, messing with all the sliders that we did for a couple weeks, preseason games. After the preseason games, we did the season, the playoffs, and here we go. And just to show how much time and effort and work and games we've done and everything, um, this podcast that we're doing right now is our 99th video that we have on this channel that has anything to do with the Internet Football League, whether it have been a test, an actual game, podcast, whatever, which means the Victory Bowl will be broadcast number 100.
Very cool.
I just happened to find that very interesting when I came across it the other day. I was like, wow, 100 video will be the game that everybody's been looking forward to all season. So, getting to that game, got the Outlaws and the Bulls, the two teams that pretty much from the start of the season showed they were the two teams to beat. And now they're here. I guess it's not much of a surprise to many people, although some people picked upsets, figured it would be upsets. But even despite picking those upsets, I'm sure those same people still aren't surprised these are the two teams in this game.
Nope.
So you have stats in front of you. I have the same stats about the two meetings that these two teams had. So I mean, we'll go into them, and I'll just cover week 5, and then I'll defer to you so you can cover week 12. Give a little rundown of stats, but just to let people know the two meetings between Baltimore and Arizona, how they went, and some simple stats. In week 5, Baltimore was at home, and that game ended 36-23 in favor of the Outlaws. The Outlaws had outgained Baltimore in that game 427-284. So that's a lot of difference in yards, I think. Passing wise, Baltimore beat Arizona by a yard, believe it or not, 211-210. But here's where the difference was, and it was on the ground. Baltimore managed 73 yards to Arizona's 217. And the time of possession stood out to me in this game. 27:52 in time for Arizona to 20:08 for Baltimore. And another stat is, and this will hold well for week 12, and I'm sure you can mention it when you get to it, but in both games, Baltimore turns the ball over twice, and Arizona only turned it over once. So the time of possession, they're keeping the ball away from the Bulls. They're eating clock up with the ground game clearly in week 5, and protected the ball just a little bit better with the 2-to-1 ratio. And with Little John in the backfield, you'd figure 73 yards is not acceptable. That'd be something they'd want to improve upon, when they get back on the field against this team. So Arizona, as well, like I said, in this game, they showed up to run the football. And the passing game was there slightly with 210 yards, but 217 on the ground is a hell of a number. And I'm touching on that because, like I said, when you get to the week 12 stats, people will realize where I was going with that. But a 36-23 game. So, Arizona got the victory in Baltimore. So they met again in week 12. And as Alex will send that one to you.
All right. In week 12, like I said, Arizona was at home. End up winning that game 34-17. Total yards, Arizona had 371, had 303. I'll let that sink in for just a second. because, I'll go back to it. In the first game, Arizona had 427 total yards. Baltimore had 284.
Right.
So Baltimore had more yards, total yards in the second game than they did in the first game, but Arizona had a little less.
Right.
Then in the passing yards, Arizona had 110, and Baltimore had 262.
It's a hell of a difference.
Yeah. And then here's where it gets interesting. Rushing yards in game 2. Arizona, 261. And in the first game, let me look here, they had 217.
Right.
So they went up. This one here is just going to blow some people's minds. In the first game, Baltimore had 73 rushing yards, which you kept, talking about. And, like I said, with that running back of theirs, they want to do more. They want to do more. Excuse me. In the second game, they held him to 41. He had 41 rushing yards in the second game.
It had to be 32 yards less.
That's insane. And then the time of possession was Arizona was 29:43, and Baltimore was 18:04.
Yeah.
That's compared to 27:52 and 20:08 in the first game.
Right. So, as I mentioned with that Week 5 game, Arizona's clearly running the ball, eating clock, and they did a better job of it in the second time. Mm-hmm. And that's one way to keep Little John off the field and not let him get numbers. You ain't getting numbers if you're not on the field. That's obvious. And eating up the clock just goes to your favor because you're going to wear out that defense. That's for any two teams that are playing each other. If you can eat clock, run the football, you're going to tire a team out. And that's what Arizona has done in both these games. Because we both know Baltimore is better than what these numbers show in both of these games. And I truly, honestly feel that these numbers are a reflection of eating clock through the running game and just wearing out the defense. So I wanted to look at that. So what I did is I took the two games and I broke those games down by quarter. And the first thing I'll mention right away shocks me because it totally contradicts what I was just saying. And that is in the first quarter. And this is adding up the first game and the second game to see when these teams score and or don't score against one another. So in the first quarter of game, Arizona is outscoring Baltimore 28-3.
Wow.
So Arizona had 14 points, just to break that down for people. They scored 14 points in the first quarter in both games. Arizona had a field goal in week 12, did not score in the first quarter in the first meeting. So they're being outscored 28-3 in the first quarter, which, like I said, totally contradicts my whole idea of you're wearing them out to score late, this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, holy smokes. So in the second quarter, Arizona's outscoring Baltimore 13-7. That's respectable. In the third quarter, Arizona's outscoring Baltimore yet again 14-9. And then in the fourth quarter, Baltimore has the advantage over Arizona 21-15. And then, of course, since we're mentioning points and stuff here, between the two meetings, Arizona has outscored Baltimore 70-40. So these average games are averaging 35-20 would be the average score of the two games.
Wow.
So taking all that in, what is your thoughts on all that? Because like I said, the stats show one thing, the scoring by quarter shows another thing, and it just became a head scratcher for me.
I honestly don't know what to think because, like you said, the scores and the stats show one thing, and it's too. Wow. Look at that. 28-3, 13-7, 14-9, and then 21-15 Baltimore in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Wow. That's amazing. The Baltimore is outscoring them in the fourth quarter.
And I mean,
Like you
to
said,
some
if you
people,
look
they
at
call it,
stats, you would think, like you said, they're running the ball. They're running the ball to try to score later. But according to scoring, they're not scoring. They're not outscoring their opponents later. That's very interesting.
right? Checking the chat. I saw Mighty wanting to know we were live. Matthew Soper saying hello. There's Mr. Davis. I'm hoping everybody can hear us fine. If people aren't hearing us, that kind of sucks. But if you do hear us, let us know in the chat. I just posted on Slack. Get in on this game or this podcast because I'm going to have some breaking news to announce. So be aware breaking news is coming. And I'll be getting to that then. But before I worry about getting to quote unquote said breaking news, we have other things that we're going to, get into here and there and something. Yeah. Well, my keyboard's cap lock is now stuck. That's hilarious. So if I'm typing anything to anybody and you see the cap lock up, I'm not yelling. I don't know what the hell's doing. My whole system's like fucking. I don't know. Whatever. I'll figure it out.
It is what it is, huh?
Wow. I just messed with my keyboard. Now I just put 47 // Okay. Davis can hear us just fine, so that's cool. So, but yeah, getting back to this game, because it is the Victory Bowl. It is the championship game. This is the game everybody was trying to get to. We had 8 owners this year busting and behind trying to get to this game, trying to achieve this game. Based on stats, based on what you've seen these two teams do recently, 4 losses for Baltimore all season. 2 of them are against this opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Do they sweep them, or can Baltimore get that monkey off their back, so to speak, and get the victory in this game? Show up big time in the championship. Will the right adjustments be made? Will the right amount of adjustments be made? Will they not overthink it? We've seen teams overthink it this season, and we touched on it last night when we actually discussed New York. I believe baby brother Taco overthought some shit and messed his playbook up, and they were never the same since. So
I agree with that.
will we see Baltimore overthink something? Will we see Arizona maybe underthink something, counting their chickens before they hatch, so to speak? So it's going to be an interesting game. And I'm sure your mind might change today as in tomorrow into the next day, this, that, and the other. So my question to you is, real simple. Who are you picking for this one? And by the way, real quick, I told everybody's episode 33. It's technically episode 34, so I'll have to edit that then.
All right.
So, where's your money on this one? What would you pick? What's the betting line? What's the over under? What are the odds? All that good stuff. What are you thinking?
Arizona. Plain and simple. It's Arizona. They have been the team to beat all year long. I went out on a limb, big time. I was hoping for Boston, rooted for Boston. Even said Boston was going to win, and Boston do nothing. Honestly, they really didn't. They tried, but it just wasn't. It was a little too late. I don't know how you stop Arizona. I just don't. They agreed all year long. They've been the most consistent team. They've been the best team. They've been this, that. Why go against them now?
Fair enough. We got some people in the chat, so I'm going to ask them the same question. Thoughts, opinions, predictions for this one, and see what they think. See what they want to throw out to us. And I'll mention those comments if anybody drops any here. But I can echo everything you're saying. I really can. But the one thing I'm going to give to Baltimore in this one is their staff has been here before doing this longer in other leagues. Does that now we know that obviously this league in the IFL is different than any other. Okay, so that being stated, is the differences with this league to others make it irrelevant what they've done in other leagues, or do we have to take that into account and respect that?
I would say exactly what you just said, because we've seen it. Everybody's tried stuff from, other leagues, and it hasn't worked.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever they've done in other leagues honestly doesn't matter. Does not matter. It's what you do in this league. And like I said, and like everybody else will tell you, Arizona has been the team that has found out what works in this league. I mean, you can't argue with it.
Right. And touching on what you're saying, I mean, the biggest obvious to me with that statement that doesn't work or does work is Swing City. Swing City is non-existent in the IFL. It does not exist, which is something I'm happy with. I'm just very pleased that does not exist in this league.
Yeah, I know you and I have talked about not wanting to say anything about a certain team and just act like it never existed after everything that went down. But look what that team did. That team tried to be, and we all know it. That team tried to be Minneapolis from the SFL. How did that help?
Right.
What did that do for that team? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
it didn't absolutely nothing.
Didn't work very much.
Like you said, every team at one point, everybody tried to Swing City. Swing City does not work here. It still works over there because I've seen it. It does not work here. Right. And I give Mr. Davis, since he's on here, I give him full credit for that one. Because he adjusted all the sliders and he adjusted everything to make sure things were better, and it just, but I know there are still some guys that are still thinking, oh, if it worked over there, it's going to work over here. Right. No, everybody's got to change their mentality now. And like I said, Arizona has been that team all year long that has figured it out. Teams were coming on, they were starting to figure it out, but it just wasn't enough. And
I want to make sure people are aware. We're not discrediting the other league because they got things that work there that we just can't do.
Right.
It's all a matter of the makeup and the structure of the design of everything from sliders to the number of abilities to the builds and the whole 9 yards. So,
their stuff doesn't work here, and maybe our stuff doesn't work there. Right. But it works for each league, which is great.
Right.
So that's what makes each league different, each thing their own thing. But like I said, you can't go be a part of one league and go to the other and say, oh, this is going to work, because honestly, I don't think it's going to. I don't think if somebody went from here and somehow went back over there and started it's just not going to be the same. And vice versa, just because, like I said, their slider set's probably different than ours, and and we've seen it all year long. We have seen it all year long. Because that first week, you saw it. Everybody was going to what they knew worked. And then as we're watching the games unfold over, past how many weeks, light bulbs went on in people's head and goes, oh, shit. Works there, works here, not working here. Oh, got to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Which made this fun. Honestly, it really did.
Right.
It made this league very interesting, made this league very fun. I can't wait to see what these teams do in the Victory Bowl. I can't wait to see then from there how everybody adjusts going into season 2. And yep, that's right. I said season 2 because I know there's a lot of people say, oh, they'll never get past season 1. Well, yeah, we're going to get there. So
indeed. Yeah, it's wow, season 2. I've already begun some preparations for season 2. And speaking of that, I might as well touch on it real quick, just so guys have a little bit of a heads up.
We might as well go ahead. I mean, because we pretty much covered what we can cover for the game.
Yeah.
Now, if we want to, we can go ahead and cover a little bit of what,
Yeah.
Getting into season 2 and doing stuff. And
Right.
I mean, there's not much more we can really say about this game. There's really not. Now it's up to the staff of both those teams to get their playbooks in, get their stuff, and play the game. Right. Simple as that.
Well,
and then
I created a channel. I think I might have mentioned this on a prior podcast, so I think I might have. But I created a channel on Slack where myself, Ed, Mr. Davis, and Mr. Kyle Walsh are all a part of. So that's 4 guys, and the channel has 18 people involved. So that means there's 14 non-owners in this channel outside of the 4 staff members. So with those 14 guys, they were told very clearly, you 14 are the ones that are in the best prime position to earn the 8 teams, because there was going to be 8 expansion teams. So continue doing what you're doing, secure your spot, whatever. They had until 10 p.m. Eastern this past Sunday to submit their uniform codes. Any of those 14 that did not submit uniform codes by deadline are no longer eligible for ownership. And that did happen. That did happen. Some did not submit. So we have color codes sitting right now in our lap to secure ownership for these people. So if they are eligible to win a team and they accept it, obviously they are, by sending in the color code, they're proving that they want the team. So
right.
What we're doing right now is, between the ones who send in the color codes, they're jockeying for position, if you will, for the draft. Now, the draft, which I've mentioned several times, there's going to be 2 drafts. There will be the expansion draft, which will determine who gets in and doesn't get selected from the free agent market. All free agents are going to be put in the expansion draft. And I'm going to mention this here, and this is not the breaking news, but I'm going to mention it here because I didn't get a chance to speak to you about it. Ed and I discussed yesterday what would be a fair amount of rounds for the expansion draft. I honestly said it has to be at least 3, no more than 5. I asked Ed, and Ed said, I like 5. So the average between the 2 of us was 4. I spoke to Mr. Chris Davis yesterday to get his personal opinion. He was unaware of our conversation, and Davis busted out with 4. So the expansion draft is going to be 4 rounds.
There you go.
So, I mean, that's just it. I mean, that was the average between what me and Ed were saying. Mr. Davis picked the average without knowing. So the expansion draft will be 4 rounds, and whoever's got the most points, that particular person will decide, do they pick first in expansion of all the free agents, or do they get to pick first within the rookie draft? And so, like, if they pick first for the expansion draft, then it's going to go in order from most points to the least points. So whoever's earned their team the highest in points will pick first to the last guy. And when it comes to the rookie draft, it's going to flip the other direction. Whoever had the lowest points will get the first pick there. Or they pick the regular draft, it's just going to swap. Simple as that. And in the rookie draft, it's going to be expansion team, current team, expansion team, current team. We're going to go back and forth. So whoever wins the Victory Bowl is going to have the 16th pick. And that's that. Now, I did have this mentioned to me, and I'm going to mention this to you. And we can make this decision right here in the air, and I'm sure people are going to respect it. But someone asked me just yesterday afternoon, if we were doing the every other pick, isn't it unfair to make an expansion team pick 15th and let the loser of the Victory Bowl pick 14th? I kind of agreed with that and thought to myself, you know what, that's kind of true. Let's let the Victory Bowl teams pick 15 and 16, and then 13 and 14 would be the last 2 expansion teams.
I'm okay with it.
You know, let them have their picks. All the expansion teams would get the pick in front of the championship teams, which I think is just I think it's fair. I really do.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, so I said, yeah, I think that's a good question and a good call. And I said, I think we're going to end up making that rule now. It was brought up to me, so it's kind of cool. So kudos to my son, who's the one who actually said that to me. So, Yeah, I thought it'd be a good thing. So yeah, any case, those uniform codes are in. Um, I have them all ready to go. I know who wants to have what set up because we got it all in. The week after the championship game, because the championship game is going to be this Saturday at 6. So it'll be either the 15th or the 16th of September. It all depends on my work schedule. But we will be doing a podcast on the 15th or 16th. Chances are it's going to be the afternoon of the 16th. I just got a hunch. Or possibly, I don't want to do it during school hours because I want to do it in the evening. That's my goal when people are home from work because it's going to be huge. Um, but that's when we're going to announce these owners. We're going to announce who the 8 expansion team owners are, yada, yada. So, and I want to have, if I could do it, graphics ready. I know Kyle's going through a lot, and I don't think he has the time to put together the images for me. So what I want to do is just bring the teams up through the capture card, take a screenshot, and as we announce the owner, his team, his colors, I can drop the screenshot of the photo in Slack so people have something to reference. So you keep hearing me say 8 expansion teams. That leads me to another situation within the teams. We all know Allen was Allen. Uh, I technically wasn't going to ban him from the league. It was the same thing I did with Alex. Alex can tell you because Alex is back. Both guys were, I don't want to use negative words, but they were doing what they were doing. So I said,
Right.
okay.
Let's just leave it at that.
I locked down their accounts as kind of a timeout. Go to the corner, cool off. Go get a cold shower, whatever. Alex was cool. He stayed chill. He stayed relaxed. He didn't act like a jerk. He's back. Allen, we know what he did. So he's gone because of that. It left his team without an owner. So the first suggestion that I got, which was multiple people saying, and that is, what if Matthew takes over the team? Now, Matt, again, I don't know if I'm ever saying your name right because you've yet to correct me or not correct me. Soper. I always say Soper. I don't know if that's correct or not. But he was going to be the co-owner with him. And that's Matthew123 on Slack. So you can catch him at Matthew123 on Slack. So in case you're unfamiliar with who exactly we're discussing here. So I went to Matt and said, look, it's been suggested you take over the Carolina Pack and it'd be your team. You inherit whatever roster is going to be left. If you want to relocate them, rename them, you have the right to do that. You can do all that stuff you want. Or option number 2, you can decline that option and try to earn your own team like the rest of the people are doing. Respectfully, that's what this kid chose. He said, I don't want to just inherit a team because someone else is failures. He wanted to earn one on his own. So he declined to pick up the ownership of the pack. So therefore, the pack will be gone effective Saturday. They will no longer exist. And instead of 8 expansion teams, we're going to have 9, as we will be replacing the pack altogether. Their entire roster will hit the free agent market, become part of the expansion draft or the free agent pool, and we'll get 9 new teams entering this league next season. So, Ed, what is your thoughts on the fact that we are going from 8 to 9?
When we discussed it, I was very adamant about it. I want that team eliminated. I don't want anybody to ever talk about it again after Saturday. As far as I'm concerned, that team never existed. That's just what I'm going to leave. I'm going to, we'll just leave it at that. It's done. It's gone. It never happened.
Right.
And then we'll just move on.
The one thing I really liked and really respected was Matthew basically saying, look, I don't want to just take a team because of my position. I feel I need to deserve to earn it like the rest of the guys. So I declined it. I thought that was class.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And I had talked to him personally, and he had told me too. He says, I don't want nothing to do with that. He says, yeah, which I don't blame him.
Yeah. So I told him, I said, all right, and he's aware he has to earn the team. He might not end up in the top 9 in points. He's aware of that because, like I said, 14 people were given the option to submit uniform codes. So it's down to those 14. 5 of those guys are not getting a team. You know, and Mr. Chisholm's apparently hiding in the woods today. So he's got bad signal. A little odd reading. Someone's in the woods. Like, what the hell are you doing? But anyway. So
we don't want to know. We don't want to know. That way we're, in case something comes back, we're not all, we're not guilty by association or, because we know stuff.
But shh, keep it to yourself. But
that's right. We know nothing.
Yeah. So next weekend, like I said, we're going to announce 9 owners now instead of 8. 9 new teams. And that means we're going to have 16 teams, which allows us to break this league up into 2 conferences and 4 divisions. So be on the lookout for that because we're going to figure out what's going on there.
Well, since you said that, because we already know. Mm-hmm. We can tell them. We already know. It's going to be north, south, east, west. It's going to be the divisions. Right. Plain and simple. What we don't know is what we want to call the conferences. Right. I'm going to throw it out here now because we have talked about red and gold.
Right.
We have talked about American National. We have talked about Star and Shield to go along with the logo. Mm-hmm. Anybody that's in the chat now, let us know what you think of all those that we just said. Or if there's something different, let us know because we're trying to figure out what we should call it.
Right. Yeah, we have to make a decision before we hit the air next weekend to what the conferences are going to be because I want to make sure we can say, okay, here's the teams. These are our owners. North, South, East, West will be the divisions. This is going to be the name of our conferences. So just to touch again on what Ed said, Stars and Shield. Star and Shield based on the logo design. Red and gold, again, based off the colors of the logo design. And the other one would be the American National. Or, again, anything you can come up with. And Mr. Davis just said, what about Empire and Federation? Which is clearly thinking outside the box because I've never heard that used anywhere before.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I wanted to post this on Slack, too. Totally forgot about doing it yesterday. So, anybody you're in the chat want to fire out a conference, 2 conference name ideas, go for it. And apologize for the yawn. I worked all night, came home and got 2 hours of sleep and woke up to do this podcast. It's just the kind of dedication I put forth over here. So
there you go.
But yeah, any suggestion is welcomed. I don't care how cool.
Yeah, I knew that's where it was going when you said Empire and Federation. Star Wars. Knucklehead.
Yeah, I've been racking my brain all freaking last 3 days, 24, 48 to 3 days, trying to figure this out.
Yeah, like I said, you and I have gone back and forth on all. We can't really decide. That I'm the one that suggested the Star and the Shield because I said let's go off the logo. We have stars and we have a shield. And then like you said, and you said red and gold because the colors, and then we thought American National because that's pretty much what everybody does. And then so I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I've been just racking my head. So I was like, do we want to make it sound professional? Do we want to have some humor with it? Do we want to have some fun with it? I mean, because it's too bad we're not all a bunch of drunks, because we could have the taste great and less filling conferences. But
yeah. There you go. Chris just says, but honestly, he'd say he's going to second year red and gold. And like I said, the divisions we know it's north, south, east, west.
Yeah.
We're going to be real simple with the divisions.
And I was trying to think if there was something we could feed off of north, south, east, west. Could we feed off of that with something? So just I wasn't sure where to go off of that. So like I said, maybe somebody
Right.
have an idea, maybe not. I have no clue. But yeah, so like I said, we're gonna keep working on this, keep trying to figure it out. And obviously American and national is obvious as to why you would pick that, because that's just the most normal of anything, really.
Hmm.
And like I said, red and gold just feeding off the colors or whatever. So and to be honest, you had said I don't know how I feel about the red because I feel like we're ripping off the SFL because they kind of did the same thing, and we didn't want to step on their toes. I don't think that would bother anybody, to be honest. It's just colors, and I don't think anybody would sweat that. But I totally get where you were going with there. So and the main reason why I mentioned American and national was then we could just call it the AFC and the NFC. But then to me, that just sounded too NFL-ish,
Right.
and I kind of didn't want to do that. But at the same time, I kind of want something along those lines. That I won't deny. I just would really like something along the lines of being able to say AFC, NFC, but not those. I think people know what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So no, we're not discussing any divisions or anything today. That's next week
Hmm.
because everything's not finalized until next week. And the reason being, Mr. Davis, is because some people may change their current plans. Um, and I'm not, I was opposed to that. What I wanted was for people to get their uniform codes in to show me they were serious about becoming a team. And now that they got their team in and showing me they're interested, I'm okay with a team saying, after careful consideration, I'd like to change my uniform. I'd like to even change my entire team name. Like they could put their team in California and say, you know what, I'd like to be in Florida now. They have that right as far as I'm concerned because they took the time and the due diligence to get involved, be involved, earn one of these top now 9 spots, and definitely send us the information needed for their team. So to me, I think they deserve that kind of option if they so desire. So that's why nothing is finalized until we hit the air next week. And maybe after this season that's coming up in season 2, maybe in season 3, we can just call the conferences the best and the worst and put the top 8 teams in one and the bottom 8 in the other. No, I'm just playing. Uh,
Okay. Ouch.
boy,
That's just wrong.
that's mean. That's
That's
just
yeah. That's kind of yeah. That's mean.
overly mean.
Ducks, you're going over here. uh, wow. You imagine that? Best and the worst. And the change. It could. I mean, it could be interesting because it could change every year.
Right.
If a team could be a best team one year, and then go, do something and go completely the opposite direction the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Right.
I don't know how other people would, feel about being in the worst conference, but you're. Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna post a message on Slack right now so people know. Okay. I just told them the news is coming in 30 seconds. They have 30 seconds basically to get their behinds over here if they're not already here to catch this information live.
That's an interesting thought. Pacific Conference, Atlantic Conference, go by the oceans.
That's actually very good.
Yeah.
That's actually very good. That one works too.
Well, there you go. That's another option.
Definitely. Yeah, all suggestions are options as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, that one's pretty good. Now of course, if you're going north, south, east, west, you got teams in the south that are by the Gulf Coast, which are they more Pacific or are they more Atlantic? And you got the teams that would be in the north, which would be more towards Canada. Are they more Atlantic or are they more Pacific? I guess it really wouldn't matter too much,
Right.
but because nothing's going to be perfect. That's the problem. Because when you got the American Conference and National Conference, what happens if you have multiple teams in multiple locations outside of the United States? You would think they'd be in the National Conference, but what if they can't be put there because of the way the league is aligned? So it kind of throws that
Exactly.
off. So, as I said, we don't have to have complete perfection with the alignments. So, okay. Now I might as well get to that.
No, since you mentioned, you wanted like the AFC, NFC, that has a pretty good ring to it. PFC, AFL, you'll have your AFC, but
yeah. Have an AFC with the Atlantic, and then you have the PFC with the Pacific.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can dig it. So, I mean, I'm just thinking of something like north, south, where they'd go. And I guess it would just matter who's where, because that was another thing we have to discuss. And I'll touch on that before I actually make this breaking news. We're going to have to put 2 divisions in each conference. Which 2 divisions get put in each conference? Do you put the north with the south, the east with the west? Is the west with the south? Is the west with the east? The north and the west? Whatever it may be. But 2 conferences with 4 divisions. 2 divisions need to be separated from the other 2 and put into separate conferences. So, I mean, in talking to Davis, he just said northeast and southwest. Because he said, because the thing is, you don't hear north-south at all. You don't hear northwest too often. It's mostly the northeast. And you don't hear south and southwest. Yeah, that's the more common one. You don't hear like southeast so much. So I was kind of digging that idea, thinking the north and the east will probably be together and the south and the west will be together.
Yeah.
He said we can do like Major League Baseball then, for how they do spring training. Quite frankly, I don't even remember how the hell they do spring training.
I know some are in Florida, some are in Arizona. Yep, the one's the grapefruit division and
Cactus.
What the hell's the other? Yes, cactus. Cactus for Arizona, grapefruit for Florida. Yep.
Wow. Okay. I mean, we definitely have options. Let's put it that way. All right, let me get to that breaking news, because I could be here for a while and forget to mention it. Mm-hmm. So this way people are aware. Like I said. Oh. All right, there we go. That the championship game, like I said, will be this upcoming Saturday at 6:00, as everyone was told. So that being said, I've already had conversations with the family over here about certain things. And it should not be a problem. It should not be an issue. So for the first time this season in the IFL, the Victory Bowl game between the Baltimore Bulls and the Arizona Outlaws will be broadcast live through YouTube with live commentary by yours truly.
Nice.
I'm going to give it a chance, give it a shot, but I'm going to tell people right here, right now, and hopefully they'll catch this on the playback. I got 2 little girls that are just as like I was when I was a kid, a nut. Just like I was as a kid, out of control. I don't know how well I'll be able to keep them completely quiet and completely what have you. So got to bear with me on that. Like I said, and the wife even told me, she goes, I have no problem laying in the bedroom and watching my Shameless, because she's been on a Shameless binge. But although I told her, I said, by the time Saturday comes, you're going to end up having watched it all. So hopefully she'll find another show to watch if that happens. I work Saturday night. So the whole plan was to, quite frankly, do the game. As soon as the game was over, try and do like a 30-minute podcast with me and Ed, discussing the game, breaking it down real quick, and what have you. That's the plan. Because I got to go to work. I normally catch the 9 or the 10:15 bus to go to work, and I work Saturday night. So the game's at 6. I'm figuring the game's going to be over no later than 8:30 at the absolute latest. So if the podcast goes past 9, obviously I'm just catching the 10:15, which is not a big deal. Mighty wants me to let my girls do the color commentary for the game. Wow, that could be interesting. But either way, it should work out. Like I said, I'm planning on doing it. Should be fun. It should be interesting. Just hope all the equipment over here works, does what it's supposed to do, because I've had some glitches here and there. Because I'm still a rookie at learning some of this. I still don't get to do the overlays. Like Davis has the scoreboard overlay and all that good shit. I haven't bothered to mess with it too much because I don't want to mess it up. Things I'm going to try and learn in the off season so we can have a better production. And when next season gets here, that's why I want to do this with this game, because when next season gets here, I'm hoping to do more play-by-play, more color, whatever you want to call it. Just do commentary on the games more often. That's the goal. Now, I told Mr. Davis because he's going to be owning a team. So wherever his team is, he's not having anything to do with that particular conference. That's this conference I'm going to run. So I told him it's unfair to the 8 teams that he be having to run as far as games if he can't do any commentary, this, that, and the other. So see if we can come up with an option for those teams if he can't do it. I personally think Chris could be very, very good at it if he can do it when he can do it. I really do. And there might be a week where maybe I can do the commentary for both leagues. And I'm going to see if it's a possibility for me to do that. I don't know how hard that's going to be, time consuming, things like that. So it is what it is. So we're going to have the championship game's going to happen. I'm going to be on the call. The week after, we're going to announce our 9 new owners. And then that's when I'm going to reach out to the 9 owners that just came into the league and the current 7 that are staying, and go to those 16 owners and say, okay, what do you guys want to do for this league that we haven't done yet? What do you want to do for this league that you think we need to not do, that we're doing now? Come up with all the ideas, all the thoughts, all the changes. Figure those things out with just the owners. And then the whole league, I want them to chime in for the same reasons. See what we get. And as a whole. And set everything up. Set everything together. And get everything, rocking and rolling for season 2. Because like I said, there's going to be changes, this, that, and the other. I do know the hot topic, the big time hot topic, is adding a 3rd gold. That seems to be discussed way more than anything else. The one thing I will say, so people can think about it, if that's something they're interested in, if we go with a 3rd gold, we will go to 4 silvers. We do not want to add a 15th star player. So we'll take away one of those silvers and turn him into a gold. So the build would be 3 players at copper and gold and 4 players at silver and bronze is how that would come down. And then discussion I had with Davis yesterday is, if we added the 3rd gold, how does that affect salary cap? Have to think about that. And for me personally, I told him, if we went with the 3rd gold, we might want to limit the amount of abilities that a gold can have. Because right now the rule is 6. Quite frankly, I think that should just come down to 5 as a way of helping the salary cap. Just an opinion. But again, that's for all next season. That's for the off season and what have you. Now, I've already been asked by a bunch of people, when season 2 begin? Honestly, I don't know, because here's the plan. Like I said, championship game, expansion announcement, expansion draft, rookie draft, in between all of that, changing of rules, if there is any, figuring that all out. And then teams are going to have that time before they draft to really analyze the boards, because I'm going to try and put together the draft board so they can really figure out what they want to draft. Get that all squared away, get that all set up. And I already talked to Davis about it yesterday. There's no guarantee, but he agreed with me. We'd love to be able to do a preseason game for everybody like we did this season. There's no guarantee that can happen or will happen, but it's something we'd like to do. And just like this season, with your playbooks installed, so you get a look at what you're doing. So, like I said, there's a lot of rules that need to be discussed. The second hot topic, button that people talking about outside of the third gold, is the ability to shift your current build. So if you have, say, a 4 ability silver and you would like to make him a gold, the suggestion is you can, but the guy has to keep the amount of abilities he's currently locked into. To me, I don't have a problem with that. I really don't, because to me, it's like, okay, that kind of works. But at the same time, it kind of defeats the point of quote unquote contracts locking a guy in at a certain tier. But it's the same thing. We wanted realism. You can sign a guy in real life to a bronze contract, meaning he's just a player. And by the time his contract is over at the end of the year, he's one of your star players, which would be contrast to becoming a gold in this league. So I'm good with that. We got the diamond in the rough rule we're going to use next season, where you can add one ability, hidden ability, where nobody knows where it's at, to one of your bronze players, or you may add 2 abilities to a copper. And no one needs to know what abilities you're adding or what player they were added to, because he's the diamond in the rough. They got to figure it out. That's a rule that's pretty much going to pass because everyone's loved it. I don't want to guarantee we're going to use it, but I almost can. Anything I'm not mentioning here, Ed?
Nope, everything sounds right.
I know there's a bunch of stuff in there that I didn't even bother to mention that people can just fill in the blanks with that they know is going to happen. So that's why I get to that point. When's the season 2? It all matters of how long it takes us to do all of that, set all of that up. And then I got to take my USB cards, create all 16 teams, get them set up, get the color codes together, the uniform codes, get it all set up, then start building the teams, start building the players. And
you might want to remind, now that it just popped in my head, remind owners of one of their responsibilities for next year is to either themselves or to appoint someone on their team to be the official stats guy.
Right.
Each team will have, an official stats guy that will turn in stats each week to the league so we can get the stats, because, kind of struggled at it this year. We had people helping. I helped for a little bit, then I kind of slacked, and then we had other people that slacked. So,
right. Yeah, an official stats guy. Now, that rule could change if somebody wants to step up and just be the league stat guy. Then they'll handle it. But as of right now, that's definitely something we're going with. Each team will have their own stat person to report their stats. And it was already asked to me by somebody, well, what if a team doesn't report stats? Then what happens? Quite frankly, then their players just don't get, recognized. Because we won't recognize who's what. Because we wanted to do a all-star game this year, which still isn't out of the question if stats are updated in a reasonable amount of time here. I know I had a couple people mention to me they'd like to get the current stats up to date. If that gets done, we might just have an all-star game following the announcement of the 8 owners. So in 2 weeks, that would give me time to create the card and create the teams and build everything. It would just give me 2 weeks to set it up, and then we can do it. And if we can do it, then that would give me hopefully an opportunity to do more commentary, get the work in, get the practice in. Be warned, I won't be Mr. Professional. It's just not me. I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to be the guy sound like I'm trying to get a job for Fox or CBS or ESPN or all that other stuff.
And honestly,
what's that?
If we can figure out how to do it, I would love to be able to, for us to commentate the games together.
Yeah,
because if we can figure it out, how to get you and me to commentate the games at same time. And like I said, we're not going to be professional people.
Yeah, definitely not.
We're just going to do our thing and have fun.
And in the words of Destro, I'm not going to be the trash truck either. Beep, beep, every other word. But I'll probably be in the middle somewhere, which is funny. Davis says if we use Discord and Skype, one of those or the other, which should work.
Cool.
So, okay. Yeah. Like I said, we'll have to figure it out. See how it is. We'll have to run some tests, see which way it comes out better, sounds better, whatever. He was able to do that with Cody before his issues. Well, based on the words of Alan, Cody did not have issues. Cody was told by Alan to screw us. And Cody has not confirmed and or denied said allegations.
Right.
So I have no idea. And TJ saying you and me
together
is A plus.
Well, thank you, sir. We'd appreciate that. But yeah, if we could get that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and I'm wanted to touch real quick again on season 2. I know Davis is having capture card issues. It's one of the reasons why he stopped doing games this year, because it would go out on him. It would take dumps. I was in the middle of conversations with him. He'd all of a sudden go, "What the hell?" and start yelling, and the game just went out. The capture card would just drop. He hasn't played with it. What's that?
I'll say this. It's happening to a lot of people.
Yeah, it's not the PlayStation. It's his capture card itself.
Yeah, I have, because I watch different people on YouTube, Twitch, whatever. They're having the same issues. There's a lot of people that are having the same issues. They're saying that the capture card and then it dies, like he's had. Because we've witnessed what he's gone through. It's starting and just it die. I've seen other YouTube, so I have no idea why that is going on.
Are they using PlayStation 4s?
They might be.
I think that's what it is. I think it's the PlayStation 4 where, like I said, within Davis's case, it's just his actual capture card. It's old. It's the issue is his actual capture card. That's what I've seen what you're talking about, and I know a lot of people have been trying to feed through their PlayStation 4s, and their 4s are having an issue. It's not an actual independent capture card. It's the PlayStation systems.
And then, I've had there's a couple other people I want that I actually have. They have capture cards because they're using older stuff, and they said the capture cards are screwing up. So that's a glitch somewhere. Which
I think older
Chris, because he really wanted to do this, but
that's my thing. I think the older capture cards just aren't designed for today's current technology within these video games. That's honestly what I think it is. So to get to the point I was saying there, if he can't figure it out to get it working, fixed, and cleared up, all that good shit, the start of the season could be delayed until he can get a new one. It's something him and I have already had a conversation about and discussed. And he basically wants to try and get the exact one I got. Because it's, the one I got, it's an HD, whatever it's called, Elgato. This the 60. I think it's HD. Yeah, it's the HD 60S. It's freaking smaller than a cell phone. It can fit right in your pocket, which is amazing. That's something that small is producing what we're able to do. So I think he was kind of targeting that particular one as well. So they're not expensive, but they're not cheap either. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Yep, it's the exact one I got, the Elgato HD 60S. So if his current equipment is still on the fritz, which he's going to mess with it. He's already told me to see if it'll work. And if it works, then he's good to go. But he's still going to try and still going to shoot for the new one. Like I said, I just want to let guys know the delay of the season could come as a result. I told him, I said, ask somebody for Christmas. That's all I want for Christmas. Give me a capture card. And he's going to use that for more than just the IFL and other systems and other games and stuff like that. So he's going to have fun with that on his own, just for doing other things. So that'd be a good present for him if his mama can buy it, or a friend, or whoever it may be. But yeah, like I said, so that's going to be our current situation. If everything works out according to plan, As soon as we take the steps we need to take to get the league ready to rock and roll, the league will start. If the equipment's still on the fritz, we're just going to have to wait until he can get it set up, because I can tell you now, there's no way I can take care of 8 games a week by myself while he's getting equipment fixed. 4 is not a problem. 5 might be no problem, but once I get to 6, 7, 8, no. He says it basically going to use it for Xbox and the PS4. The one thing I can tell you about the PS4 is it's already got a capture card in there. Capture card type situation built into the PS4. I know that for a fact. I forget what it's called or whatever, but that's a topic for a whole different show. But so yeah, we've covered the championship game. We've mentioned a lot for season 2, possible rule situations, this, that, and the other. I need guys to get on Slack and start chiming in on these things. Any thoughts, suggestions, opinions, yada this, yada that, mention it. Give us your opinion. Conference name ideas, give them to us. And remember, should not be an issue this week. I'm going to get the kids to go in their room, play on their tablets, jump on some Netflix, which they love to do, get the wife to do the same thing, so I can call the game Saturday night. And that's going to be my plan all next season, is to call games. I want to try and do at least one a week. If I could really do it, I'd love to do all 4. I really would. But for some reason, when I do a pre-recorded game with commentary, it just doesn't want to upload for some reason, and I don't understand the issue. I really don't. So I'm wondering if it was a bandwidth issue, because I was having bandwidth problems, because I have Xfinity, and apparently when you use X amount of bandwidth, they begin to slow down your internet connection. And I was over limits. So that was the issue last week. So, yeah, it is what it is. What are you going to do? You know, I'm not a man made of money. I live paycheck to paycheck, and sometimes paychecks aren't enough to live. And I got to have the struggle. Then there's one week where I'm good to go and I have no problems. And there's plenty of us that know what I'm talking about. So, you know, it is what it is. And I've said that 1,000 times, is what it is, because that's my line. My is what it is equivalent to Alan's I mean. So, but if there's nothing, or if there's anything you want to mention that I might have forgot, or you want to touch on, just re-elaborate on anything, I'll defer this to you, because if not, we've been on the air already over an hour, and we can pretty much wrap this one up, because like I said, I'm going to go lay down again for another hour before my kids get home, since I only slept for 2-3 hours to do this show.
Cool. No, we're good. I think you took care of everything. We mentioned everything, covered the game. You know, now everybody knows what our plan is going forward. Now we just have to, you know, get all the ducks in a row, so to speak, and let it all fall where it has to fall, and go from there.
Yeah. And playbooks were supposed to be due by the end of tomorrow night. And believe it or not, I think I already have both teams' playbooks. And if I do, I'm going to try and punch those in tonight. And then that'll be done and ready to go. And then it's just a matter of doing the game Saturday, which would give me then the opportunity for the rest of this week. Because now technically season 2's over. Or season 1's over, except for running the game. I can start building on season 2. And I'm off today. And today would be the perfect opportunity to install playbooks if they're both done and start working on season 2. Like I said, playbook rules. Do we want to change those? Do we want to add more plays, take away plays? Those are another thing people can think about. So, you know, I'm going to come up with a list of suggestions on my own. Ed,
honestly, I think we're good.
Yeah, like I said, I want you to come up with a list of things you think we should do, or a list of things you think we shouldn't do, combination of the two. If you feel you can think of anything that you want to put to the agenda. If you're listening to this podcast now live, or you listen to this podcast later, I want you to do the same thing. Show me you're interested in making this league be successful by submitting ideas. And if your list is 0, send me a message saying, hey, I love where we're at. Don't change a thing. You know, show me that you care. I need people to show me that they care, because I mentioned a couple weeks ago, will there be a season 2? I don't know, because the dedication around here was shit. You know, people's priorities were other places, other things, other situations, and that's their priority. It's not my priority, and they have a right to their own priority, and I can't complain about it. But the fact that there was not much priority to this league, I asked myself, is it worth it? But I've had a lot of activity through private messaging, not as so much in the open. And that's one thing I will say. I know Slack's more active than it shows because I get talked to a lot. There's people who talk to me in private messages that have not made a freaking public post in months, but I know they're around because they talk to me individually. I'd love for them to get on the open forum, say, hey, how's it going? How's the weather? Something, anything. Just show the people you're alive. That would be cool. Free agency. I want to throw this out real quick for free agents because then this gives people the opportunity to give me their opinions. I had already said to Ed, when we get into free agency, do the guys who are in the league still that are humans, are they going to have the right to accept or decline a free agent offer that's sent to them? Ed said if they're here, they should have every right to accept or decline. I agree.
Yep.
And I also say if said team owner submits a contract to said player, he has X amount of days to respond. If not, said team can just take the right to sign him on their own. That's my opinion. If you're not going to be super active, then you don't control
I'm
your
okay with that too.
So we got to figure out what
Yep.
the time frame is. Is it 24, 48, 72? How many hours, how many days do they get to sit on a contract offer?
I think 72 is fine.
Right. So I'm going to say this. Humans have the right to pick and choose where they go if they act on it. Those who don't act on it, like there could be 4 teams that send the same contract offer to the same team or the same player. Like take Ed's Sons, for example. They're going to be free agents, if they don't get drafted in the expansion draft. So if somebody wants to offer one of them a contract and they don't respond, and then there's another contract that's offered and they don't respond, now they have 3 contract offers in place and they have not responded to any of them. Whichever of those contracts is the best, that's the one who wins by default. I think that should be the rule.
To answer Chip's question, yes. Does your player go with you if you get a franchise? Yes.
Yes. Your player and or players go with you. So if you have a player, you get yours. If you have 2 players, you get both your players. If you hire a coach, you also get their player or players. And that's another thing I want to set up and do. And I want to get that into place. And I'm going to kind of touch on it here real quick as well, since he brought that up. And I'm glad he did because I forgot. I would like to have teams have their coaches signed, sealed, and delivered, if you will, honestly, before the drafts. Because what's going to suck is if a team goes out there and say they draft a running back, and then you go hire such and such, and he has a running back. Well, now you get their running back by default. What happens to the guy you picked up in the draft? Do you have to trade him or release him? So that's what I'm saying. We need to make sure teams sign their staff before we get building teams, because now you get those players on your team. So like in the case of Mr. Chisholm, he's in the running for a team. If he's awarded a team, he's going to get 4 players in the expansion draft, plus any of his own players, plus any players that might be on his team that come from a coach that he may hire. So if you hire 2 coaches, an offense and a defensive coordinator, and they both have 2 players, right there's 4, plus your own 2, that's 6 players right from jump. And then you get 4 in the expansion. You only need 4 players left on your team that you pick up through the rookie draft or the second phase of free agency. So that's a good start for any expansion team. So that's definitely a rule I want to do, but we'll see what the guys involved have to say as a whole. But I think staff should be hired before a draft. And then once the draft's done, the opportunity to add staff is over at that point until the season gets going. Because we want to do the rule, you play for who you coach. That just has to be the rule. Just makes more sense to me. I think you've agreed with that from the beginning as well.
Yep.
So, and like I said, we need to have that period as well. There's a draft period and there's a free agent period. We should honestly start our own period that is staff hiring. You hire your staff. You hire staff within this quote unquote week window. and there you go. And current teams with staff, like Mighty's in there. Mighty says he should. Mighty agrees that if you have a team, you should get your own players and stuff like that. Mighty is a coordinator. Is Mighty returning to Baltimore when this season's over? I would assume yes. But either way, for paper trail reasons, legit legal reasons to make us official, if you will, I think that should be confirmed, and a team doesn't have to wait until the coaching period, if you will, to sign a guy they already have. They just say, yeah, he's remaining. And then they're good. Then they get those players right away from jump as well. So, and speaking of players, if you want to retire a player, you may. And I say a player. So if you have two, you can retire one at the end of this season to create a new one if you so desire. I'm doing that this year as a one-time only thing, ignoring the salary cap rule where there's cap penalties, and other issues for players. But retiring of a player doesn't affect the salary cap at all because he's retiring. So, some people have a defensive tackle they might not want to keep. Some people might have a corner and they now want a linebacker, whatever the case may be. All that has to get set up, signed, sealed, and secured as well. So that was about 11 more minutes of discussion on things that we got up. So,
That's cool.
Ed, anything else?
Nope.
All right. Well, to the 14 guys what's that?
I said, I think we're all good.
Yeah. And I just want to say to the 14 guys that are part of the Future Owners channel, good luck. Keep being active. Keep being involved. Keep doing your thing. Stay in the top 9 now, not 8. Stay in the top 9. And you're going to get announced whether or not you secured a team next weekend. Although I'm stopped. Once the game hits 4 zeros, the championship victory bowl game hits 4 zeros, I'm not adding up any more points. That's it. You have through that game to score points. You have until that game comes to an end to score points. In fact, I'll wait till the broadcast goes off the air instead of the clock expiring. Once that game goes off the air, points stop. Points are locked in. And then the following week, we'll announce the owners.
Well, you might as well say it's not even the 14 now because they're eliminated.
Yeah, there's a couple that were eliminated. I'm not going to say how many people eliminated themselves by not submitting a uniform code, but there was 14 guys that were there that had a shot. Only 9 are getting a shot. So, yeah, you just got to make sure you stay in the top 9. And then also it's going to determine your drafting position. Unfortunately, you don't know what your draft position is going to be because the guy who's got the most points is going to control the fate for everybody because he gets the choice by being the number 1 guy. So, guys like
my suggestion to the guys that believe they're in the top 9, reach out to that guy that is number 1 right now. Hey, we think you need to do this. Or, hey, we think you need to do that. Try to persuade him a little bit. If nobody's going to
tampering. No.
Hey, we're not a professional league here. We're not.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fault anybody for that. If they want to say, hey, dude, why don't you do this?
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Indeed. So, yeah.
Because there's no secret who everybody knows is number 1 right now.
Right. He's been number 1 since we started it.
Yes. Because as soon as we announced it, then he went, boom! He went 100 miles an hour nonstop.
With the catchphrase, hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
It's priceless. But, yeah, so all I know is the expansion draft. I'm excited for the expansion draft because all the current players that are being released, they go into another draft, and it kind of sucks for them because they don't have the right to control their destiny. Any player becomes a free agent does not control his own destiny unless he clears 4 rounds of expansion. And do the math, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, do the math. Clears 4 rounds of expansion. If there is 9 teams, okay, you got 9 teams, and there's going to be 4 guys picking. Or, I'm sorry, 4 rounds being picked with the 9. That's 36 players. 36 players will leave the free agent market, be put on teams by selection, meaning they do not control their fate, control their destiny, control anything. But the guys who slip past the expansion draft, now they have the right to accept and decline contracts of their choosing. They can control where they go. And quite frankly, I don't care if a player reaches out to a team and says, hey, do you have interest in me? Sell your brand, if you will. This is why you
Well,
want to sign me.
I'll
Also,
throw this.
trades are permitted. Letting guys know
I'll
that
throw.
too.
I'll throw this one out here
Mhm.
because you said both my sons are going to be free agents.
Right.
Drew has his wide receiver and he has his kicker. He won't give a crap what team picks him up, does whatever.
He just wants to play.
He just wants to be there. Dwayne, on the other hand, keeps, I'm going to be honest with everybody, changes his mind every 2 hours. 1 minute, it's, I don't care where I'm at. Next minute, I only want to be on your team, Dad, because, you know, everybody knows I am now the co-owner of Boston. So with him, it's potluck with Dwayne. Sorry, but that's just how it is. He just, you know, they're both 10 years old. They can't, you know, they can't decide what they want to do from the 1 minute to the next. And it's like, ugh. I said, please. I said, this is why.
Yeah.
So I'm just throwing it out there to the other owners and everybody. You know, with Drew, he won't care. He'll just want to be on somebody's team. But with Dwayne, like I said, every 2 hours it changes. I want to be on this team. Oh, I hope I get on this team. And 2 hours, I only want to play for Boston, Dad, nobody else. I'm like, dude, we have to go through the process. I said, if you get picked up and then you want me to try to trade for you, I'll do that. I said, but we got to see how it goes first.
Yeah. And I will also touch on free agency and stuff. People ask me about trades. I don't want the expansion draft to have any trades. I'll say that now. I think that needs to be no. You get your 4 picks. That's what you get, and that's that. And you stay where you're at and call it a day.
Yeah, because if you ever seen any expansion draft in any, you know, professional leagues, they get their pick and they choose who they want. That's it. There's nobody trades anything. So yeah, I'm 100% agree with that. You
with
get
the
your
rookie
picks
draft, rookie draft's a whole different thing. You can trade all you want.
Because it'll be just like a real draft.
Right. You can trade all you want. And to owners who have teams now, if you have players on your team, and this is the truth, if you have players on your team that you don't want and they're locked into contracts, as far as I'm concerned, you can trade them. You want to call another team up and say, hey, you have the, say, 7th pick in the draft. Give me that pick and I'll give you this player or whatever it might be. I'm okay with that. And it doesn't have to be even trades. You don't have to be 2 players for 2 players. I don't care if you trade 4 players for 1. It's just the team getting those players better be able to, A, fit them on the roster because they don't go over their 14 overall star players, and 2, fit them under cap. That's it. Simple. It's easy to do. So like I said, we're going to have a lot of phases in the offseason as far as building rosters go. Like I said, expansion draft, rookie draft, free agency, trade time, signing of your coaches, the whole 9 yards. So my gut feeling is this season does not start until after the new year. That's my gut. Because technically we're not even ending season 1 until next week when we announce the owners. So that's the middle of September. You figure the middle of October, November, and December. That's 3 months. Do we need more time to build this league? Because I honestly think it's going to take us at least a month to weed through all the changes that we might make for rules. You know, and I think new owners should be given at least a week to analyze their team, what they want to do with it before they get into any kind of drafting. You know, what do I want to mess with? What do I want to play with? Get on the editor, make something, mess with something, see what kind of build they want. I could be crazy, but like I said, this is where the owners get the power over everybody else because they're the ones who got to put in the work. They're going to get to control the length of these things, nobody else. I know I like to let the league do it, but if you don't own a team, it doesn't matter because you're not doing the work. Those guys are the ones doing the work. They get to say, so we're going to go with the average. So if Johnny Joe says it takes me 6 months and the other guy says it takes me 2 months, then the average is 4 months. And Ed's computer got unplugged, so he's off the call. So to all you guys that were in the chat, appreciate you showing up. Appreciate you being there. Get the hype going on Slack. Thoughts, opinions, everything you can do. Get it going. That just might be the spark we need to get the activity going. And what have you. And remember, I'm on the call. Get the hype up for that. Go in there and say, oh my God, his dumb ass is on the call. I'm going to try and do my best. I'm going to try and do it justice. Like I said, I'm not going to be professional, but I'm not going to be that trash truck either. But it will be colorful. I kind of want to give it that fun at home vibe when you're sitting there with your buddies and your buddies talking shit to you and you're having fun, or when you're connected live through Madden and you're playing somebody and you're listening to the headsets and how they yell at each other. I'm probably going to have that kind of feel. That's probably what I'm going to be, because I'm not going to try to be something I'm not. I'm just going to let it flow off the tongue the way it flows. I'm not going to have any catchphrases to make myself sound cooler. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm just going to do my thing, and have some fun with it. So hopefully it works. The kids behave. The wife behaves. I said the wife. She's going to smack me for that one. But again, appreciate all you guys. We're not here if it ain't for all of you. All of you helping us got to this point, and I'm very grateful, overly grateful. I honestly wish this league didn't exist, but sometimes things happen, egos get in the way, and so we have this league, and I'm glad we're heading into the championship game. The championship game will be our 59th game of the season. It'll be our 100th telecast, if you will, through YouTube or anything else. 100. It'll be the 100th thing we produce in a video form since we started. 59th game. We've come a long way. We still have a long way to go. Bells and whistles are not what we got right now. And yeah, I'd love to have them. I won't lie. But we have one hell of an on-field product that I think is unmatched. We have a hell of a group of guys that I think is unmatched. Activity could be better. We know this. Showing up for live games, showing up for live podcasts and things like that. Horrible. We don't get them like we should. But the one thing the IFL says, do not revolve your life around us. We do our thing. You watch us when possible. You watch us when you can. You do not have to show up for live events. You do not have to show up for anything. Watch it on your time. And I think that's another thing that separates us from other leagues. So, at the end of the day, Victory Bowl. This Saturday, live from Philadelphia, the Baltimore Bulls, who enter the game counting the playoff victory, 11 wins, 4 losses, and the Arizona Outlaws come in at 14-1, counting last week's playoff win. It should be one hell of a game. I'm going to be like Vegas right now, and I'm going to say the over-under for total points scored is going to be 47. You guys can have the debate on that, over-under 47. I'm thinking about adding that to the freaking Slack, too, as an over-under bet. And I'm also going to say I would call Arizona the favorites by 7. So I want to get to the pick'em real quick before I wrap this one up. If you go and look at the pick'em is actually 8-6. So if you take away my votes for setting it up, it's actually 7-5. 7-5 in favor of the Outlaws right now. So it's pretty close. And I'm pretty sure by the time we get to the game this weekend, there'll be a lot more votes on that. So 7-5. 12 votes have come in. 7 in favor of the Outlaws, 5 in favor of the Bulls. Just for shits and giggles, let me see. We have 0 votes for the Outlaws from their own team. And the Bulls have 2 votes from their own players. So if you take that into account, it's 7-4 or 7-3. But I don't care. You're voting for the team whether you play for them or not. I can respect it. So it's still 7-5. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap this one up because I'll sit here and rumble forever. I can always think of something else to talk about because there's so much to discuss, and it's just crazy. So for everybody in the chat, again, appreciate it. Guys catching on the replay, appreciate it. Remember, get on Slack ASAP. Start the discussions, all discussions, rules, suggestions, anything and everything you can come up with. Put it in private. Send it to your fellow members, your fellow owners, current owners, future possible owners you think might get in here. Send them to me privately, whatever it is. Anything and everything we can come up with to make this league better in season 2. Because, like I said, pat myself on the back. Yeah, toot my own horn. I think we did a hell of a job building this league before we started that. I don't think we have much to change. Do we want the extra gold? Do guys want that? What's the cap going to be? Conference ideas, all that stuff that we discussed here today. Get the chat going on that. Get the discussion going. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, this was Inside the IFL episode 34. I apologize for calling it 33 to start the show. So don't forget, 6 o'clock this Saturday, live on YouTube, the Baltimore Bulls versus the Arizona Outlaws, live from Philadelphia with yours truly on the call. Later.